All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Jerremy Newsome. Jerremy, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today, man.
Super amped, dude. Thank you. It's going to be really fun, really remarkable. I'm hoping to pour tons of value into your listeners.
Well, I really appreciate that. And I'll tell you, I've been looking forward to this. And, I want to start by giving a shout out to Michael Dash because without Michael, you and I would have probably never even met. And the beautiful thing is when we get introduced by a mutual friend that both of us already know and like and trust and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, there is no better way to make a new friend, a new business connection. And of course, that's what this podcast is all about is $1 million relationships. And so
Yes,
Michael, if you happen to listen to this, thank you so much, man.
that's
so,
right. Thanks, brother.
so Jeremy, I just want to start by let's you know what, let's start by just going back because you weren't always an entrepreneur. And so before we talk about what you do and all of that kind of stuff, let's go back and like how did you even first like get exposed to the idea of even becoming an entrepreneur?
Somehow that particular drive or gift or idea was born into me for sure. But there was a very specific moment that kind of shifted everything. When I was 6, I watched the movie Forrest Gump with my dad. My dad and my older brother, Jerry Roger.
Okay.
And about 80% of the way through that movie, Forrest Gump starts recounting his life.
Yep.
And he says, Lieutenant Dan invested into some kind of fruit company and said, we don't have to worry about money no more. So I said, good, one less thing. I had grown up so poor and our family definitely worried about money.
Okay.
So hearing that someone did not have to worry about money was a huge paradigm shift for me. And I asked my dad, what's he talking about? Like, what is a fruit company? Like, tell me what does that word investing mean? And so my dad explains to me about Apple, tells me how Apple, what it is, how Apple works, that they're a computer company, that people are going to use computers, that people are probably going to buy these companies, and those stocks can go up if people buy a bunch and the company gets a bunch of revenue. So I begged him to buy some shares of Apple because that's what Forrest Gump did.
Mhm.
And my dad gave the very popular excuse that most people are extremely familiar with. I don't have the time to do that. I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't have enough money to do that. My dad was a pharmaceutical salesman at the time for a small private pharmaceutical company and just never really knew a whole bunch about the stock market.
Okay.
And I begged him, man. And so this is one of my favorite quotes that I've heard throughout my whole life, which is it's not your resources, it's your resourcefulness. That's probably what entrepreneurship is.
Yeah.
Because again, I was 6 years old. He eventually said, listen, if you bring me some money, I'll match it dollar for dollar and we'll buy some shares of Apple. So I went and picked blackberries. I sold them door to door for $1 a bag. And in the
Wow.
summer of 1995, made 1,500 bucks selling blackberries. And true to his
Wow.
word, he borrowed the money from my uncle. we uh, we bought $3,000 worth of Apple in 1995, which is the exact bottom at that time.
Okay.
Pure luck, but those shares right now are worth about $39 million. And fortunately slash unfortunately, I sold those shares $38.9 million ago um, in 2000. And so I was a 12-year-old. We moved from Georgia to Florida. He sold those shares of Apple. He said that was the best investment, the best trade I'd ever make in my whole life. And as a 12-year-old, my dad, we that $3,000 turned into 12,000.
Mhm.
So he gave me that $12,000, and ever since then I've been
Wow.
hooked. And I've been studying the stock market and the market and investing and finance and financial principles like a heathen ever since I was 12 years old.
Wow. What an awesome experience for a young kid to have.
Yeah.
And I can see how that might give you a passion for like, let me play some more with this. I want to play around with this some more. And so,
Yep.
so wow, what an awesome story.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so let's move forward a little bit now. And so what do you get to do today, Jeremy? What is your business? What do you do? And what inspires you most about the work you get to do and the impact you get to make through your business?
My whole life, I wanted to be a history teacher. And when I was in fourth grade, I asked my current history teacher, uh, tell me how to be a history teacher. And he's like, no, you don't want to be a history teacher. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, no, you don't. You don't get paid any money. And I love at my heart, I think I have a beautiful blend of entrepreneur spirit and teacher spirit. I like learning new things and teaching people those things because I learn in a very unique way. Um, I have a very different perspective on the world just because of how I grew up and what I've learned as I was growing up and the environment I found myself in. So I am designed almost to teach people very usually unique things that are complex and make them as simple as possible because that's how I have to learn. So what motivates me, what inspires me is helping people understand very, very complex uh, notions and subjects and try to do my absolute best to explain it easily and simply. Because when someone learns something they've never learned before and it clicks for them, they see it, get it, know it, feel it, and understand it. That to me energizes me more than anything. It excites me, it motivates me, it inspires me. It continues to perpetuate my energy to continue doing it and helping and traveling and teaching and writing and speaking. So seeing someone learn something is remarkable. And the thing that I help people learn specifically is the liquid markets,
Okay.
which generally is stocks, options, crypto, futures, bond, gold, silver, commodities, anything that moves very, very quickly that's extremely misunderstood, but provides a ridiculous, amazing, phenomenal opportunity for financial freedom. That's what I help people understand is the second grade math to how to become financially free as quick as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you don't have to name names or anything like that if you don't want to, but what's an example of a result that you've helped a client get that you're just incredibly proud of, Jeremy?
Man, so many.
I know yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first one that came to mind is a new guy named Jordan. I just started working with Jordan probably about 7, 8 months ago.
Okay.
Jordan is a police officer, lives in Northern California, and police officers, I think, have a very, very challenging job. I interviewed him once on one of my podcasts, and he said that police officers are massively undertrained. They do not have all the equipment and knowledge and instruction they need to handle all of the wide array of things they're faced with and they interact with on a daily basis. And he makes about $80,000 a year
Okay.
total. And he has wife and kids, the whole thing, right? So I wouldn't say specifically an entrepreneur, but a very, very specific, really important, very crucial job that receives a certain amount of money every single year. Well, I taught him how to trade stocks. And Jordan last month, which was September, made more than he made in his work in that particular month, which was pretty substantial for me, for him, for the people in
Yeah.
our group. I mean, the guy made like $12,000 net, like cash
Yeah.
flow on a $60,000 account, by the way. So it's about 20% return in 1 month, which
Wow.
again compounded is remarkable. And the fun news is I've been helping people understand this stuff for like 20 years. So this is just one of many, many, many examples, but he's just newer in my life. And so it's exciting to see him make such incredible strides and huge shifts because he's been learning, he's been studying, he's been reading, he's been attending every single class, he's been putting in the time, energy, effort, the work. He's been doing it, but he's also paying off a lot of his debts. He's
Yeah.
taken his wife and kids on trips to Disneyland. He is using the money to accelerate his life and to feel abundant, to really taste prosperity, to be in a financial place of creation versus fear,
Yeah.
right? Many people, they just find themselves in a place of scarcity when it comes to money because they do not really ever feel like they have enough. And they certainly don't feel like they can create it easily and quickly and effortlessly.
Yeah.
But in the stock market, that opportunity exists. I'm not saying that people do it all the time, but the opportunity does absolutely every single day exist. And to have that awareness, and not only the awareness, but also the knowledge and the tools to interact with and extract potentially thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in a day or in a week or in a month, just using the internet.
Yeah.
right? One of my sayings is if you have access to the internet, you have access to income. Once you have the knowledge and the skills and the tools, it just starts opening your eyes to what's really available, and it removes the shackles that many people have of the constraints of the fear of really stepping into abundance monetarily.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know what his past experiences have been. I don't know what his experience is like being a police officer. But what just comes up for me is that, now he's probably realizing, wow, you know what? I've got choices here now. I have options here now.
Yep.
And that, I just made as much doing this as I did at my other job. And you know what, man, I keep doing more of this and, keep getting better at doing what I do here. And I can make a lot more than what I make in my job.
Come
And
on.
now the question, well, do I want to keep doing my job as a police officer? Or maybe I don't want to do that anymore. Maybe I want to do this
Come on.
instead,
That's right. That's
And
right.
yeah.
Gives people opportunity, gives people freedom. And for entrepreneurs, man, the exact same thing, right? The majority, not every entrepreneur, obviously, but the majority of entrepreneurs, aka business owners, people that are creating, they generally are doing somewhere between 500,000 and 3 million.
Okay.
And when you're in that world from a business standpoint, it's incredible. But as you know, and as I know, and a lot of people listening know, you're kind of in the swamp, right? At 500,000 a year to 3 million a year, like you're making enough to do well, to buy things, to invest, to repurpose, to hire, to scale, to do the employees, to do all that. But you're also not making enough to be free. And you're still in the approach mentally of, man, I got to work a bunch to make a lot more money versus I get to create more to attract more value.
Yeah.
And that's a mindset shift that very often will come in operating in abundance because it's the I get to versus I have to, or the I am versus I will, or the making, which is very much working and toiling and grinding energy, right? That grind culture versus attracting, receiving,
Yeah.
creating, offering, providing. It's just a different energy, and those are very unique energies as it's tied to both business creation, and business optimization, in my opinion.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, okay. So now that we've got a little bit of context set here, I want to switch gears just a little bit. And I want to like move into I want to start talking about relationships with you and stuff. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I want to start by asking you, I'm going to reiterate the question for the benefit of our listeners. So, Jerremy, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Yeah, man. Oh, when you said that, like, changed my life. So I had two people that instantly popped into my mind.
Okay.
Probably, obviously. So one of them being my wife. I met her through a business trip where the boss I was currently working with at the time said, not must, but hey, you really should go to this person called Tony Robbins, who I had listened to a bunch. And you got to go to this event called a UPW, which is an Unleash the Power Within.
Yep.
You got to go there and you got to go do all the things. So that was November 4th, 2012 in Orlando, Florida, UPW, where I met my wife, my wife right now, meaning at the time she wasn't. We just met and we just got married about 5 years ago. So it took me, what was that, 12 years to figure it out. But I finally was able to figure out, I was like, oh, this is her. She's the right one. Um, and we've been just in an incredible relationship. We have three boys together, and we've just done so much together. And she's helped me heal and expand and step into greatness. And then another one, again, there's just another connection, was a dear friend of mine, business partner, someone who has put me on such incredible pedestals and put me in front of so many amazing crowds and really elevated me to a place that I didn't imagine possible, is Brittany Turner.
Okay.
I had a business connection, a person say, hey, reach out to Brittany. She might be able to be a speaker at one of your events. So I wrote a book called Money Grows on Trees. And every year I have a conference called Money Grows on Trees, where it's like wealth, expansion, abundance, mindset, wealth consciousness. And how can you have a conversation about wealth without talking about real estate? Well, I needed to have a real estate specialist. I would never call myself a real estate specialist by any means, but I brought in someone who is, and that's Brittany
Okay.
Turner. And Brittany Turner, I reached out to her via Instagram through a mutual connection, sent her a direct message, a video, and that was back in 2020,
Okay.
February of 2020. And in that coming up on 6 year relationship, the things that we have done together, the organizations that we have built, the purpose that we've stepped into, the marriage, the kids, the islands, the investments, the opportunities, the businesses, it has just been so almost otherworldly to notice how quickly everything changed when you got aligned with someone who just brings joy and understanding and the awareness of more into your life. And very, very few people have done that more than my wife and then more than my really good friend Brittany Turner.
Wow. So you got introduced to Brittany by a mutual friend. Um, well, I'm just thinking how I want to frame this. Um, I'm going to frame it differently. I'm not going to focus just on Brittany because I want it
Sure.
to be. So I want you to think about a time where you personally got to make a really big impact, Jeremy.
Hmm.
And maybe even in the moment, maybe it surprised you a little bit. But yet you also know that would have never been possible if not for your relationship with either your wife or with Brittany. What's an example of something like that, Jeremy?
Oh man, I got tons of those. And that's why I love your podcast and the purpose and the message behind it, because the secret to living is giving. And one of the best things to give is the gift of a relationship. And as I met Brittany, Brittany introduced me to a guy named Anil Gupta. Anil is a world-renowned relationship specialist and relationship coach. And through
Small world.
him,
I know a Neil.
uh, there you go. See, there you go. And Anil Gupta introduced me to a guy named Chuck Hogan, who owned and ran a mastermind called Your Best Life.
Okay.
And then Chuck Hogan was a part of this mastermind, and there was three main members of that mastermind: Chuck, Dean, and a guy named Preston Brown. And I got asked to be a speaker at this event in Vail, Colorado, in February of 2022. And at that event, Preston admittedly and openly didn't like me before we had met. We did a fundraiser for a organization called, and don't exactly quote me on this, but I think it's Little Champions or Mountain Champions, something like that. And it's a organization that helps blind and special needs individuals that have autism or cerebral palsy or muscular dystrophy learn how to ski.
Okay.
And so these individuals, they work with incredible, awesome, brave children to help them get out and enjoy snow sports. Because it's Vail, Colorado.
Yeah.
And this group comes up on the stage and they say, um, our whole life would change, our entire life would change if we could receive a donation in total of $5,000. And it was in one of those moments where I just smiled because I knew that they didn't know the room that they were talking to. They could have asked for 500,000.
Sure. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
probably would have
You're like
we probably would have been able to
5,000.
raise that. But I was in a moment, I just felt moved, and I stood up and said, "Listen, I will match every donation that's given today." And so the room raised over $40,000, and I was able to match $40,000. And so we gave $80,000 to this
That
group called
is
Little
so
Champions.
awesome.
Oh, dude, so cool, bro. And all the kids were crying, and all the coaches and the teachers were crying. It was very emotional. And then Preston comes up to me afterwards. Again, the guy that everyone knows that we didn't really get along at the time, gives me a hug and goes, "You are my guy," because that reminded me of Christ, just the way you gave and the way you stood up and the way you just opened your heart. And between me and you, we'll be friends for life. And he has given me so much business, so much referrals, so many opportunities because I stepped into my heart and I gave, and he noticed and he was there and he was aware. And that's a giant circle of the connections and the dots that, because that's what I'm thinking I do very well. I'm very good at putting patterns together. It's
Yeah.
one of my specialties. And that was a pattern of introductions and, like you said, $1 million
Yeah.
relationships
Yeah.
that transpired from a place of giving, from a place of love, from a place of kindness, openness, abundance, wealth, opportunity. And Preston is coming into Vegas this weekend with like 40 other huge, incredible entrepreneurs, and we're going to do radical business this weekend. We're going to give, we're going to thrive, we're going to provide incredible deals, and there's going to be some really, really good money that changes hands. And I know it's just going to be a place of really beautiful acceleration.
Yeah. What an awesome story.
Yeah.
And you know, unlike Preston, I kind of liked you coming into this conversation, you know. So
Yeah.
now I like you even more.
Thanks, dude. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
So but you know, I mean, man, I mean, that's what it's all about right
Hmm.
there, you know.
Hmm.
And you know, I mean, you know, I look at, you know, you get to a certain place, and once you know that, you know, at least for me, I'm not going to speak with other people for other people, but for me, you know, once a guy knows that, you know, your family's need, you know, I'm a husband, I'm a father to 7 kids, I'm grandpa currently to 6 grandchildren, soon to be 7 come March,
My man.
and but well, you know, once I know that my family's needs are met, that we got roof over our head, food on the table, they got clothes, all of that, and you know, our needs are met, you know, then and we have more than what we need to meet our own needs. Um, an interesting thing happens in that, at least for me, it did, that making more money ceased to inspire me, you know. But doing the work that I get to do through this podcast, having conversations with entrepreneurs like you, man, this inspires me. Getting to make introductions for entrepreneurs that lead to 5 and 6 and 7 figure business deals, that inspires me. You know, the direction that we're going, where I'm going to be making introductions that lead to 8 and 9 and 10 figure business deals, and that inspires me.
Come on.
And
Yeah.
and it's not the revenue, it's the impact. It's
Hmm.
the impact is what inspires me.
Yep.
And you know, and like with you right there, you know, it wasn't given 40,000. It was the impact that that 40,000 coupled with the other 40,000 for 80,000 total was going to make in those kids' lives, you
Yeah,
know.
man.
And how do
Yeah.
you even put a price on that, you know? And how awesome it feels to be a part of something like that. And how blessed we are to be able to have the financial resources to do stuff like that. You know, not because we feel like we have to, not because we feel like we have to give back. We just want to give because we want to make an impact and stuff, you know, and it just feels good to do that.
Hmm.
And I love hanging out with entrepreneurs like you, man.
Dude,
I love
thanks,
doing
bro.
podcast interviews with
Yeah.
entrepreneurs like you know.
Thank you. Well,
And
Les Brown taught me, man, like your income is directly tied to your impact.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
want to make more, figure out a way to impact more. Very easy,
that's
very
right.
simple.
That's right. That's right. So, for one, Jeremy, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today and just share from your heart. For anybody that's listening to this and kind of feeling like I am right now, they're going, man, Kev, I really like that Jeremy guy. I love
Thank
who
you.
he is. I love how he shows up. And maybe, you know, they're thinking of some stuff that we talked about today or that you shared, and maybe they're even thinking like, man, maybe he can help me, or maybe he can, maybe there's somebody else I know that he might be able to help that I want to get him connected with and stuff. Any websites, any resources we can share with folks?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I do the social media thing. So my name is spelled with 2 R's. My
Okay.
dad's name was Jerry, so it stands for Jerry and me, Jeremy.
Oh, I like
Um,
it.
yep, Jerremy, Newsome, Newsome. .com and all over the social media thing, right? The Instagram, the Twitter, the LinkedIn. So
Mhm.
just make sure there's a blue check mark because there's a lot of scam, accounts out there that look like mine that aren't quite mine. So the blue verified check mark on all accounts. And my goal really is to connect with anyone who reaches out. I have an incredible social media team. So if someone posts or sends something to me, I will receive it pretty quickly and I will be able to reply. And I would love for anyone to reach out at any of the platforms or anything that someone feels that they are called to or led to. I got loads of podcasts. Me and Brittany Turner have a six season, 24 episode podcast, 7th season coming out next year, but it's called Broke to Awoke. And so we just kind of share our life and our journey and our story. And then I have another podcast called Solving America's Problems. So I love podcasts. So I love that you had me on this one and on yours and sharing your time, Kevin. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
you're
ultimately,
welcome.
man, yeah, just have people reach out and I'm happy to help any way I can.
Awesome. Awesome. Any last thing you feel led to share, Jeremy, before we call it a wrap?
I think at the end of this, my big goal for all of our listeners, for myself, for anyone is awareness. And when I say awareness, I mean the awareness of what's possible. And the way that we all find that is by asking for more.
Yeah.
Asking for more. It can be a want or it can be a need. Most of the time, it's a want.
Mhm.
And it's okay to want more so that you can offer more, so you can provide more, so that you can give more, because God is the God of infinite. And if you receive something incredible, or a blessing, money, optimization, if you receive more from God, you're not taking away from anyone else because God is a God of infinite. So there's always more available. And when you ask for more, you will get more. To those who knock, the door is opened.
That's
So
right.
go out,
That's
ask for
right.
more, and it will change your awareness. When you change your awareness, you change your life.
That's right. Awesome. Man, that's good stuff right there.
Thank you.
Well, Jeremy, once again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. And I'm excited to share this interview with a lot of entrepreneurs. So thanks again, man.
Thanks, Chan. Appreciate you.